In this lesson, we'll see how to display the events that we are adding in our application instead of using the console log like we did in the previous ones. So before doing that, I want to define the controller as for this actual form controller. And to do so, we can open our app.js, and inside our root definition, which starts at line 4, we can add controller as and give it a custom name. We can call it event CTL. So this is actually the syntax we use inside our add event template to reference everything that belongs to the form controller. So I can save this file, and now we'll introduce a nice built-in directive, which is NgRepeat. So instead of using the event form in JSON format, we'll add a new div. And in here we'll define NgRepeat. And as you can see, it takes a key and value on the left side, then the in keyword and the data set we want to loop on. So our keyword will be event, and the data set will be event CTL dot, back here we call it event, so dot event. Inside our NgRepeat, we can define a template that will be repeated for each element in our collection. To reference the properties inside each one of the objects in the collection, we can use the key that we have defined on the left side. So let's create a simple table where we'll be displaying just the name of the event for now. So it will be a table with 2 rows. Each row will have a TD, this will be the label for us, event name, and here we'll have another TD with the actual value. So event.name, and that's it. As we are using the controller as a syntax, if you remember, we need to quickly refactor our controller and reference each element in our controller by using the alias. So also in here, in our submit, it will be event.ctl.submitForm. And back to our controller, we have to get rid of the scope quickly and replace each $scope with this. Those changes should be sufficient, so we can simply test it and go back to our page, refresh it, and go here and type our name, so event1, and click on submit. As you can see, it will be displaying event name event1. What happens if I type a second event, so event2? Magically, the second event is appearing. As you might imagine, we can basically set up all the other fields we want to display. For example, let's add another one, like the event description. So this will be event description. Here we have the label as well. Whoop. Event description. I know the table I'm setting up is very rough, but just to show you the capabilities of this nice directive. So let's save it again. Let's go back to our code. Let's refresh the page, and then let's add event1, desk1, and event2, and description number 2. So as you can see, the same thing is happening. All the property values have been displayed. Of course, we can define a proper CSS layout for this table, and in the next lesson, that's what you'll get. Let's have a quick look at the code that has been generated. As you can see, we have a comment that has been automatically created by Angular, NgRepeat event in event CTL event, and then we have the end of the first element and the second element. So what can we notice? Basically, the parent element, the one where we define our NgRepeat, is repeated for each single occurrence in our collection, each single object. And another thing we have to notice is that it's a single element. So what if we want to repeat multiple elements, like maybe an header and a footer that will be repeated each time that we have an element in our collection? Well, there's a way to do that, and we'll see how to implement this in the next lesson.